Welcome everybody to Geoprobe Systems. This is our 3100 GT virtual live demo. We're really happy that you're attending in whatever way, shape, or form that you are today. My name is Tony Bowl. I'll be one of the hosts today. We've got a few others that will be helping to answer questions, and then a really good crew that's going to do this demonstration for you. We're excited to do it. There's some new features on the 3100 GT that we want to go over. Some of you have seen this machine before. Others, this will be your first introduction, and we really look forward to showing you some of the things that we believe make this an easy to use piece of equipment, an efficient piece of machinery, and a safe one at that. This is kind of a new format for some folks, and so I want to point out just a couple of things. At the bottom of your screen, kind of in the center there's a Q&A section. And as this demonstration is going on, we realize that some of you will have questions, and obviously you're not standing around in the circle there to ask us. So please feel free to type in questions using that Q&A section rather than the chat. Myself and Ryan Kerr from our engineering group or some of the guys would be happy to try and answer those. We will also have a couple of moments here where the guys will pause and we'll formally answer some of those questions as well, maybe in real time. You might see some things that prompt other questions. And so just wanted to let you know we'll have a couple of moments where we can answer those questions live as well. At the end of this demonstration, you will have an opportunity to take a really brief survey. These are learning times for all of us as we go through the strangeness of COVID-19. And so there may be things that you'd like us to see in a future demonstration, or things that you enjoyed about this one you'd like to see more highlights on. So please feel free to take that survey at the end. We'll also have a copy and a link available to this demonstration if you wanted to view it again later, or maybe show it to some others in your office or folks that you have contact with. But again, just can't thank you enough for taking part in this. We're proud of this machine and the things that we're doing here at Geoprobe, and we're really proud of our customers, and thank you for spending your valuable time with us here today. Doug Kaler, Lee Shaw, and Nathan Peters are going to be the guys that are out there running the equipment for us today. They're going to do just a brief introduction, and we're going to see some surface coring, some mud rotary, and I believe also some SPT sampling. So just happy to have you with us. One of the things you'll notice about this machine is just how quick it is to set up and get ready. You know, we had a brief introduction here. The guys are driving in, backing up to the slab, and really they're towered up and about ready to go.
I'd like to thank you again for taking some time out of your day to join us for our second virtual live demo. This time we're using the 3100 GT. I'm Doug Kaler. Lee Shaw is going to be the operator of the machine this time, and Nathan Peters is going to be the helper, and I'm going to be the voice behind the microphone today.
There you go. So Yeah, hey, thank you for joining us this morning. And what we want to do is set this up where we can do some quick demos just to highlight the features of the machine, from the drop hammer to the rotation, the direct push hammer, and then also just really focus geotechnical. We're going to do some mud rotary at the end, set up a pan. And what we want to do is highlight the features of the machine and just the efficiency of it, and really the safety. I think you could already see how quickly we were able to come in, set it up, and we're ready to go. So we're going to step through this. We're going to surface core here with the 6-inch barrel. We obviously don't have rock. That was one of the requests from our last demonstration, was to be able to core rock. We don't have that here, so we've set up to simulate and to do surface coring through concrete. So we'll do that. We're going to push a Shelby tube at the end of that, and then we will advance a 4.5-inch probe rod with a casing shoe, set it as a conductor casing, do some mud rotary, and then finish off with an SPT sample with that. So that'll be the flow. When we get done with that, we'll stop and we'll have some question and answers. From there, we'll do a walk around of the machine, showing some highlights and features of the machine with the questions. So we really encourage your questions as they're coming in. Part of this, as far as not only the drilling portion of it, but really the chassis as a whole, is just something we wanted to show more of and kind of highlight. And part of that would be, how do you engage a PTO? Obviously, this does not have a deck engine, so we're going to use a PTO off of the chassis itself, which then is attached to split shaft, and then we have hydraulic pumps and return from there. So how do you engage that? Well, what we're going to do is we're just going to actually crawl into the cab. Troy's going to join me up here, and we'll step through that. Once we're done with that, we'll come back and we'll start making a hole. So Troy, you want to join me?
Real nice feature of this truck is as Lee's engaging this, you'll notice he'll flip down the sun visor, and the instructions for engaging the PTO are written on the back of that sun visor.
Right.
So just about anybody can jump in this truck and tower it down, tower it up, whatever you need.
Right. It's really simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to step through the simple instructions here of how to engage this PTO. So set the parking brake, start the truck. Okay. So I have my foot on the brake. I'm going to go to neutral. I'm in neutral. I'm going to turn on auxiliary 4. So auxiliary 4, when we turn that on, that is actually powering up the drill rig, and then there's a little air compressor behind the cab here. So we're going to use air to shift this in and out. So got auxiliary 4 on. I'm in neutral. My foot is on the brake. I'm going to flip the lever over. So we have red. It's all light. I'm going to go to drive, back to neutral, take my foot off the brake. RPM comes up. Go back into drive. PTO is engaged. Pumps are turning. We're ready to go. You know, and just this is a really nice ride. I drove one of these back from Houston to Salina one day. It's just shy of 700 miles. It's such an easy drive on this. Again, under CDL, class A and B. You just set back, sync your phone for hands-free calls, set the cruise, turn the air conditioner on, and roll. Plenty of fuel, 50-plus gallons in the fuel tank, and just really makes for a really nice ride. Just think about if you've got a couple-hour drive to get and you're doing 3 15-footers. You know, this thing is sipping fuel. Just jump in it and go. You don't have to have a Class A CDL. It's just really the whole package, besides the drilling functions on this chassis, is just really a pleasure to operate. So, okay, let's go make a hole.
as Lee said earlier, he's going to be surface coring the concrete using a 6-inch core barrel. He's going to be using the GA 4100 auger head and a Moino pump. So the pump itself, when you turn it on, then you've got a potentiometer that you control the flow with. So you'll have the flow very, very low for when he's surface coring concrete here. He'll be coring in this. There he goes once he gets the bit seated. And you'll make sure everything's square. Use the positioning functions of the machine for that. And then he'll be coring this in 4th gear. So that's upwards of 750 RPM. You'll see just how smooth this is. So this setup will make very quick work of coring this 6-inch hole through the concrete so you can set that surface casing. One of the features of this machine is the hands-free controls on the rotation and the head speed. So Lee set his rotational speed with a hands-free control with there. You can't really probably see it very well right now, but he set that with the hands-free control for the rotation, and then he's still using the manual lever for the head speed. There's still some feel to that. So there he quickly broke through that concrete. So they'll get this bit out of the way and we'll push a Shelby tube. What they're going to do is they'll swing in the 7-inch brake out there, and they're just clamp the extension that's between the swivel on the auger head and the core barrel, and just break that loose real quick. Sometimes they come out, sometimes they don't. So that's why we're not going to spend a bunch of time. But, you know, one of the nice things about this machine, you see Lee lifted the foot straight up. Now he's just going straight back down, and he'll still be centered over his hole there in the concrete. Here they're bringing in the Shelby tube, and then he'll shift his head over, and they'll actually push the Shelby tube under our direct push hammer. One thing you might notice is just how quiet this setup is. Hopefully you can hear that, or not hear it, I guess. But this truck running from the truck engine like it does, just very quiet. And then they'll swing over and pull that Shelby tube out. They'll be using the 6,800 pound winch to do this. And then you'll also notice they're using our spring assisted pull caps on these. Feature that or an option that anybody can use that's using winches. Just really nice. Once you use those things, you'll wonder how you did it before. And they'll get set up, and then next what they're going to do is we're going to be using our 4.5-inch direct push casing as our conductor casing. So they'll bring that around, and that's got one of our casing shoes on it. So the shoe itself actually has some nubs, for lack of a better word, welded on it so that it doesn't unthread. So if you were doing drive and wash or something like that, and you were coring down through that, just coring out whatever soil's up into that casing, when you break through that shoe, that way the shoe is actually kind of locked to the soil, and it doesn't, as the cutter bit goes through that, it doesn't unthread. Then they'll raise up, and Lee will center the direct push hammer. This is a GH64 power cell, so same power cell that's used on 7822s that we've used for years and years. Many of you are very familiar with that. So uses the same direct push hammer. You'll then square up our rod using the positioning functions of the machine, so everything is going in nice and straight. We're actually using a 4-foot, 4.5-inch rod with a 1-foot rod on top of it. What that's going to allow us to do is then when he raises his foot up and they put the mud pan into place, they don't have to raise the foot quite so high to drop the pan over that casing. And there you'll see that Lee used the mass dump of the machine to clearance for the mud pan. Drop that in place, and then they'll put that 1-foot section back on. Nathan's got the 1 foot back in place, and then he'll seal around that just by using a few bentonite chips. So there you see Lee using the oscillation of the machine. That really is a very, very nice feature for guys that do a lot of work on the side of the road where you've got the crown of the road, so your truck is going to be at a slight angle. And with the oscillation feature, then you can then still square your mast up so it's straight up and down and not have to use outriggers to jack the entire chassis of the truck to square things up. Keeps things lower to the ground and much safer. Another feature, you know, those of you that work on the side of the road quite a bit, you'll notice that the control panel would be on the ditch side. So it's a little safer for you guys working out in traffic. Maybe you don't have the car zipping past your ear like you normally would. Mason threads on our NWJ rod with bit on it. We turned our Moino pump on, and he will control the flow with the potentiometer there at the control panel. So we'll get it filled up, and once it's full, then he'll be drilling. Doing mud rotary, typically we will drill in third gear with this particular machine. And usually we'll run around 200 RPM on it, and seems to work real well with the soils and the bits that we found, and to work best for us in Kansas. Another thing you may or may not be able to see on the camera, but the water swivel on this has a float built into it, and you'll see that mostly come into play when he adds the second rod on here, an WJ rod. You'll be able to put the rod into place and start the threads by hand, and then you'll notice that the float in there, as he threads that rod on completely, the float will make that much easier. Also, when you're coming out of the hole and you need to break joints, it makes it very easy to make up and break joints. So there again, Lee switched over to hands-free on the rotary, and then once he is comfortable, things are advancing the way he likes, he'll switch over and also do hands-free for the head feed. Just like you never know when you're drilling, you never quite know what's down there. So of all the times we've practiced this is the first time we've ever encountered probably any sort of rubble as we've been doing this. So again, you go with the flow.
Doug, one of the questions that we had was what applications or when would you typically use mud rotary, especially here in the Midwest, Kansas, Missouri?
Typically what they'll do is they will use mud rotary once we get below the water table, and then you'd have your drilling fluid or drilling mud to stabilize the hole. So that's most commonly why they would use it. Other than that, they're probably going to do a little more traditional auger type solid slide or hollow stem augers. And then now they'll break that rod loose from the swivel, and then they'll add one more 5-foot NWJ rod. There, maybe you can see where you raised up the head, you can see the float there at the water swivel between our U-joint. There he came down. You can see where he closed up the gap there, and now as he threads that on using the auger head, you'll see that the float, that gap between the swivel and the U-joint kind of opens up where that float is coming into play. One feature of this, the 3100 GT, is as you start to get deeper and you feel that, and you start needing to swab the hole to bring more cuttings to the surface. This particular machine has dedicated hydraulic circuits, one to the drilling function, so your rotary head, your head feed, all those things are running from one hydraulic circuit, and then it has a second circuit that actually runs just the pump, your fluid pump on this. So as you're stroking your head up and down quickly, have your RPMs high, you're not robbing hydraulic flow from the Moino pump, and you're never going to lose circulation with this particular machine. So very nice feature that guys really like that. You see this one's going much quicker. Whatever debris was down there in the subsurface, Lee was able to get through it, and so here you'll see as he swabs this hole, he's not losing. So their pan got full, so they're gonna switch from the water tank on the back of the truck and put it into the mud pan, and then just use the same water to circulate. Looks like we hit somewhat of a permeable zone down there. Something is allowing a lot of our drilling fluid to be going to the formation instead of down into back up and bringing the cuttings back to the surface. So they'll go ahead and break loose there and trip out, put the spoon on, and do a traditional SPT. He's up and off. He'll use the side shift to get our drilling functions shifted out of the way. And then now our winches are right on center line to come down and thread onto our rod. Again, NWJ will be one of our spring assisted pull caps here. So you see as he released the rod grip, the rod clamp, you saw that the weight of the rod, the spring is now holding the rod. Started losing circulation there. We had quite a plug build up there on us. See if they can break that loose by hand real quick first. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Like it's going to work this time, so they'll swing the breakout in, clamp onto that bit, and then use the pipe wrench to break that joint loose. Rope. Now Nathan will thread the bit off and we'll thread the spoon on. So we'll be using one of our Geoprobe patented interlocking split spoons. That has been a very good addition to the geotechnical line of tools out there. Again, one of those tools, you don't have to have a Geoprobe to use. We offer them in drive heads with AWJ, NWJ, all your traditional drilling thread patterns.
Doug, I think something else to point out is, Lee and Nathan, they're experienced guys, but they're not production drillers. And the way that this machine is engineered and the way that it lays out with the side shift and the centerline side shift and just the way the machine is set up, it allows experienced drillers to be really fast and efficient, and allows brand new drillers to come up that learning curve quickly and safely.
So if he caught it there. Lee lowered the auto drop hammer. There's a hydraulic cylinder on it, so he lowered it in place, and now he put it over the anvil, and now he's lowering our head, and the hammer is actually floating on a couple of rods there. Then he'll engage the hammer. 140-pound slug, 30-inch drop. Hammer, I don't know if you can see it, but we actually have a tape measure on the side of the auto hammer, so you don't have, the guys don't have to carry a stick and chalk and mark the rods for their 6-inch intervals. It's right there on the side of the hammer, so the operator can see it very easily. And then he'll raise the head up, and then he'll also, you'll see the hammer start going up as well, so the auto drop hammer going up. Nathan will thread that off. Forgot to point it out earlier, but on the side of the 7-inch breakout over there, we've got a tool storage weldment on there. So your anvil, it's got a place for your anvil to go right there. It's got another spot for your spoon to go right there. Another spot that you could stick a pipe wrench or whatever other type of tool that you'd want to have handy there. Keeps things up off the ground, and just one of those little things that makes it really nice to operate one of these machines. Anytime you don't have to bend over and pick something up off the ground, it's great.
In just one moment here, we'll do kind of a walk around on the machine. And just a reminder to you, go ahead and utilize that Q&A box down there. You can type in your questions. Some of them will type answers too, or as the guys are going around the machine, if there's something that you see, we can maybe catch them in real time and just have them respond right there at the part or the piece that you're curious about. So.
I was going to step in and lower the head real quick for Lee, so that we can point out a few features there as we win our walk around, but we'll make it work. So what questions do you have for us, Tony?
Well, so far the questions that have come in, we were able to respond to. A few that revolved around the gross weight of the vehicle. Again, it's under CDL. Minimum height, working heights, those types of questions. Again, too, anything about specs, feel free to ask, but we do also, we direct you to our website, geoprobe.com. We do have specifications on the machine there as well, but we're happy to try and answer those questions as well. And I think Lee's going to kind of take us around the unit itself and show off some of the features.
Yeah, we'll start kind of a tour, make a half lap around the machine here and talk about just some of the features so you can get a close-up. So come on in, Troy. So we want to first talk about the storage on the machine. There's just a lot of storage for your tools here at the rear, and then auger carrying capacity right here. So we have 2 shelves, then we have trays that slide out to help you load and unload those. And then on this one, you can order it with a provision here to cut out. So your last auger going in, which has a cutter head on, you can leave that cutter head on. So it's easy just to come out, first auger, it's got the head on it, it's ready to go. So storage augers, you can get straight up just single drop down toolbox like on the other side here. It's really, we have some options, or make your own toolbox. It's up to you. As far as hydraulics, main component stuff that you really need to get to when it comes to service, right there is your hydraulic tank. You can see the window on front of it. So when it comes time to change the hydraulic fluids, you can remove that window, clean it, wipe the tank out, clean that out, and just be able to access everything. There's your filter right on top, your gauge right here to check your hydraulic level each day. Your fuses and your relays are in these 2 small boxes here right on the side, easy to access, and a nice weatherproof, tight sealed there. So easy to get to right there. Moving back on the deck, this is where we have our 3L6, and then you can also get a 3L8. It just depends on what pump it would fit your needs. So we'll just say, how do you want this configured and what are you going to do? And so we have options for the different moinos here, and they just real easily plug right into the auxiliaries out. And so you notice that the control panel, I was just turning this pump on, and then with a potentiometer, I can just dial the flow depending on what I need on that. So nice way, easy way to control the moino. And then of course your drop down single door here, toolbox, hand tools, etc., whatever you want to put in there, fill it up. And then making our way around here to the front or to the derrick area, I want to talk about the control panel. And the first thing I want to talk about is just safety. Number one, some would say the control panel is on the wrong side. We like it on this side. This is the way we've always done it. If I'm on a highway doing highway work and I've got traffic going beside me, I am comforted by being a few feet away from them, a few more feet away from them, that is. So the safety of it just being on this side, and then also the safety of this head, all these functions being on this single side shift on the head, 26 inches of side shift, and I'm controlling that by just a single manual lever here, which means I'm not touching the drop hammer. It's just pretty much hands free. I don't have a rope on this hammer swinging it around or pulling around. The helper's not moving out of place. So safety as far as position of where this is at, and then really our hands free. And then just the way it's set up, it's just an efficient design that includes manual levers and then electrical levers. So on the manual, we'll just kind of go through them here real quick. Kind of made a mess when we were doing that surface coring. So, but that's drilling. This controlled our breakout clamp and then a wrench. And then this bank of manual levers here, from here over would be our positioning. So as we drove in, some of you may notice there's no outrigger on the front. We'll do all our positioning of the drill mast from here, from fold to extend in and out, to dump up and down, wiggle. And then we have oscillation in the mast. So if we're on a side road and we need to plumb the mast up, we can simply do that. We're not using outriggers to lift the machine up. And then this is for our winches, our telescoping winch. So the way we came in and towered it up or set it up would be at our lowest position, and then we can actually adjust this height up. So the way the winch is set up right now, we have the 3-foot extensions bolted in, so we can effectively hang 20 feet of rod off each one of those winches. So if you're doing deeper mud rotary holes or coring, whatever you're doing, it's just capacity to hang additional rods, and 20 feet per. So, and we have winch options. Talk about that real quick. This has a 6,800 pound, the heavy winch. This is an 1,800 pound pole. And then we also have an 1,100 pound, which would be your wireline winch. Additional manual levers here. We talked about the head side shift. This is for our power cell, GH63 power cell, very Geoprobe-ish, very just all Geoprobe DNA in this as far as the operation. Head feed, rotation, winch 1 and winch 2 here, excuse me, winch 1 and winch 2. Got those backwards. So that's our manual levers here for controls. Everything, this is like command center. So when we're drilling, the operator has complete control of everything that's going on all right here. And then we can step into our electrical, as I talked about the moino pump, turn it on, and then we can dial it up. Now, through our digital display, which provides a lot of user feedback as we're operating, from temperatures to pressures to, there's even a gauge on there that shows us a percentage of our moino pump output. And by the way, the moino pump, Tony may have talked about this a little bit, and Doug, but I really like the ability to control that on the hydrostat, just to dial it way down for even the surface coring. We can do that, and then full on for mud rotary. Drop hammer on off, RPM, and then this switch would be for our little 50-gallon tank. These are for our outriggers left and right. This is our shifting of our 4-speed head. So technically it's in high side, so 3 and 4 here. And then we have our hands free for rotation and then for our feed. So if we were doing maybe a deeper mud rotary type of hole, we could set it up. We could set our rotation speed and then our hands free and step back. I like that, but I also still like the tactile feel of having a lever too. So you got that as an option. And I'm just going to go into this a little bit, but within the display, you can go in and turn a page on here with this switch here. We go up here to CPT and coring. Toggle over to the display for that. And then we have CPT functionality. What that means is that we can come in here. It's already preset. It can be adjusted, but it'll be preset where if we're pushing cone, we pulled the feed paddle down and we're set at 2 centimeters per second. What's really cool, especially if you have somebody's new to this or new operator or company's new to CPT, you can actually adjust through the display 40%, 60, 80, or max push on that. So you can graduate, you can step up. So you're not just full push, which is 36,000 down on this machine. So CPT functionality, and then also within that same page, we can switch over and go to a coring feature. And basically what that does is that will scale that feed rate. So we can scale that way back and make it really fine tune that. Now you can get this with an optional head feed controls where you could actually adjust the weight on bit as you're pouring rock. But that's all kind of done behind the scenes using right here at the control panel. So just a lot of information, a lot of control, fine tuning as you're operating. It really makes it a pleasure to operate. And then we're talking a little bit more about storage. You've got this side compartment here where you can stick stuff, whatever you want to put. We got some little hangers here. It's just to be able to just grab and go and have your level. I like levels, have your level right there. Hang your spring assisted caps. So moving over, I want to talk about a couple of options and tools that we sell. One would be the spring assisted lifting cap. Now this one here is threaded for the NWJ rod we use, but you can see right here, there's a gap and there's a spring assist inside of that. So that if, let's say we had 20 feet of rod, we're pulling those and we're clamping them here and breaking them. This is carrying the weight of that entire rod string. And it just, for the helper, it just makes it easy. Threading on, when you're threading back together, it self-aligns and it just makes it easy. You don't have to have Geoprobe to have this. We have guys that don't have Geoprobes, and we have one guy order 7 for his drill rigs. He saw the efficiency, the safety, and it just made sense. I want to talk about our interlocking patented split spoon here that we use. Again, you don't have to have Geoprobe to have these. These are been a hit, and we have just we offer them in AWJ, NWJ, different sizes, AW, 3-inch version of this. I really highly recommend this based on feedback that we have received over the past couple of years on this. This is a must-have if you're doing geotech. And then there's one other thing before I pass you off to Doug, and Nathan's going to help me here with this. Let's say we're going to set up the core, and now we have to attach our overshot. This is a nice little feature. We're going to go from a safety hook. We're going to remove that button. We're going to slip that into our overshot, thread that on, and now we're from safety hook to overshot in 15 seconds. Nice feature. So.
Okay. All right, just kind of go back around the driver's side of the machine. Again, we've got our GH60 power cell, GA4100 auger head, hands-free auto drop hammer on this, and high-speed water swivel with float built into it, 7-inch breakout. This is that little weldment I was talking about that gives you a spot for your anvil. It's got another spot for the spoon, like I was saying, another spot to put a pipe wrench or a hammer or whatever you got right here. Again, just really nice to keep from having to bend over and pick stuff up off the ground. As we kind of move around the side here, again, just like more tool storage here. So this particular machine is outfitted with a 5-foot rack on it. We do have an optional 10-foot rack that you could put on this side of the machine. Very same underbody storage toolbox that's just on the other side here. And then we've got this little removable tray right here that you can use. This is for your helper. So if he's opening and breaking spoons and things apart, it gives him just a little work spot right here that he can break things open for him on that side. Back here, we've got this particular machine set up with a weatherproof toolbox on the side. You can with We have several different options, like Leah mentioned. So we kind of like this for a sales demo machine. Gives us a place to put some, even our suitcases if we need it.
Suitcases, clothes, sure.
E-stops, I don't think we talked any about those. So there's an e-stop on the driver's side here. There's another one on the helper side, or on the operator side, and then at the control panel there's e-stops, and then a tethered e-stop as well. This machine has a 50-gallon water tank on it, so this is an option as well. This would be for if you just needed a surface core, you were doing traditional just solid stem augers, things like that. Just gives you a little bit of water that you have on site to help you out. So again, if you called in, wanted a quote, we'd sit down with you and say, what do you want to do with this machine? And then we would set it up to best fit your needs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that kind of concludes our walk around of the machine. Again, thank you guys for spending some time with us today. Hopefully you found it beneficial. And again, a little teaser for next time. I think our next live demo is going to be pushing cone with this machine, running CPT with it. So you'll see some of those features. You'll see us anchor this machine because it is considered a lightweight chassis. So you do have to set a soil anchor and pin this machine to the soil. So with that, we'll turn it back over to you, Tony.
Sure. Thanks again, guys, for doing that. And again, thanks to everybody who's following along and participating today. One question that popped up, Lee, I guess probably why you're over there by the storage rack on the side. Roughly idea, how many feet of 4 1/4 hollow stem do you think we could put in that rack?
Boy, you're making me do some
I think
math.
I think you can put 6 augers in each box.
6,
if I remember
yeah, so
right.
30 feet in that in one of those racks. Okay.
Right,
All
and then
right,
you
well,
could
hey.
do, if you wanted, you could outfit it with another one on the driver's side, and then you could haul another 6 in that one as well.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I think again, there's going to be some things sent out as far as a survey, some links, things like that. Isn't that right, Tony?
Yes, sir. Yeah, at the conclusion of this, you'll have an opportunity to just take a real brief survey. And again, we always want to strive to get better. Innovation is a key word here at Geoprobe, and one of the ways that we do that is by learning. Some of that's through our own trial and error, and some of that's just feedback from our customers. So please, if you've got another minute or two, take a chance to do that, take a time to do that. And then we'll also, again, have a copy of this available that we can send to you as well if you participated, if you wanted to either go back and reference that or send that on to others in your organization. We did had a couple of other questions that were in regarding the GVW on the machine, different options. I think Ryan's gonna follow up on those. But another question that came up, average fuel consumption. I know it's an efficient machine, but do we have an idea of average fuel consumption over an 8-hour day or a work day?
Gallons per hour, no. I don't. I'm sure we could figure something out for you, just not something I've ever paid attention to. You know, you could, when you run this machine, it's going to be sitting still, not doing anything. So the dash is going to tell you the fuel mileage is really pretty bad on it, but it's sitting still most of the time with the engine running. So, but as far as gallons per hour while it's sitting and drilling, no, but we can get back to you with something on that.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, Wesley, that's a great question. We'll follow up. We'll get you some numbers on that.
It would be fair to say, though, that with a 50-gallon tank, guys are easily pulling off their day. It's not like they go to lunch and then have to fuel up halfway through the day.
Yeah, I believe, what was it, 52 gallons, I believe that it holds, 52? Okay.
The other question is there any truck options other than the Ram 5500? And the answer is no, not at this time. You know, we're constantly watching to see what's available. There are some possible options. Chevy/International has an option, and Ford has another truck with a slightly higher GVW than the Ram 5500. The challenge on both of those is they're very new trucks, and we've gone with a proven chassis here that we know works, as opposed to something that's pretty green at this point in time. So in general, you put the extra weight on the support truck as opposed to going a heavier chassis straight out.
Thank you, Ryan. Again, want to just extend our thanks to everybody that's watched the demonstration today, and we really appreciate your time. Time is valuable. And so not only have we tried to engineer this machine to make you and your drillers more efficient, but we hope that we've made good use of your time here today. And again, just thank you from all of us here at Geoprobe, and we look forward to our next live demonstration.